everyone, it's Jean. So I promised to come back with my playing card series so you all could see some more of what I have done. On the previous ones, we mainly made some mixed media type cards, different styles. So today I want to show you a couple things. Now, if you have heard me mention before, the playing card was one of the first cards that were used for ATCs. And the reason being, and an ATC is an artist trading card. And the reason being is because an artist trading card should be, let's measure in inches here. It's about 2.5 by 3.5, I believe. So this was what the standard card was for making an ATC. So what I've done is I have covered several cards with gesso. Now, the cards that I have, these are just kind of probably leftover cards that people played rummy with or something like that. And they don't have that standard card backing like you get with a Monte Carlo brand or some of the other brands. So if you want to have the standard card backing, you want to pick up a better set of poker playing cards. I'm not sure if they have the kind that have the backing on at the dollar store or not. I haven't checked. So if they do, those would be the ones that I would pick up. Or just any card will do from the thrift store or wherever. So I talked about gesso before, and what gesso does is it actually mutes the background of whatever surface you're using, and you can actually cover the complete background if you want to. Because I want these to show like they are still playing cards, I haven't covered the whole I've covered the whole thing, but with just a light coat, so you can still see the images through them. So the gesso that I used, I'm pretty sure I got this from Amazon. It's just acrylic gesso, so it's used for surface preparation for acrylic paints or oils, and you can actually apply it to a canvas prior to painting or drawing on it if you would like to do so. Another thing that it's good for that may not be obvious is if you are doing a mixed media piece and there's a portion that you don't like, you can usually just gesso over it and redo that part. So I've had to use gesso as kind of a whiteout or a cover up. So if you have to do that, you know, that's okay. That's sometimes we make a design and we love it from the start. Sometimes we have to make little adjustments, and gesso is one of the things that will allow us to do that. Another thing that I have been talking to you about is texture paste. Now, texture paste is a paste that you can use that will allow a raised texture on your project. For example, if you're doing a piece and you want some swirls on it and you want those to be a little bit higher than the other ones, you can use a stencil and get that effect. Now today what I want to show you that you can do is you can take an ordinary, if I can find one here sticking out, I forgot to get one. Okay, I think this is, okay, this is fine right here. So this is just a piece of harder cardstock. But what I was going to tell you that you could use would actually be like an index card. So if you don't have any stencils and you just want to try this, circles are common in mixed media art. So we can make our own little stencil here. I'm trying to see where my other, here it is. My other hole punch has smaller holes, so we'll do some smaller ones in here as well because it helps us get a different design. Okay, so I'm going to use this orange card that I prepared, I think, last time we were together and show you how the modeling paste works. But you can actually make your own modeling paste, and that's what I did. So I created my own modeling paste, and the way I did that is I used, give me 1 second. I just used a cheap brand of white acrylic paint. I think you can get these from Walmart for 97 cents. You can get another cheaper brand, I think at Hobby Lobby. I think it was Hobby Lobby for 49 cents. But you only need some white paint, some Elmer's glue, the school glue, and a little bit of cornstarch. Now, this is the recipe that I got from the Graphics Fairy. So if you're interested in checking out how she does, you know, in the measurements, you can check it out on her page. To be honest with you, I didn't measure anything. I just poured it in until I got the consistency I wanted, which was pretty much, it's not really runny. You do get a little bit of stick with it. So put it in a plastic container or a jar or something that you have. This is just a craft bottle that I got, I think, around Halloween time at the Dollar Tree. And I got a couple of these for this purpose because I have handmade Mod Podge as well. So what I'm going to do is just show you how I apply the, you don't have to have a palette knife either. Something that works super well is you can use a popsicle stick, you can use an old credit card, whatever you have. So let me get some of this, and I'm just going to plop it right on here. And then I'm going to spread it out like this and spread it smooth. And what I get on my playing card then are some circles, okay? And then we can take it up here and put a little bit more on and just scrape this across. and we get some more circles. Now, since this is not an actual stencil, we're getting some lines here. We can probably pick those up with the palette knife if we need to. So you just go around to the areas that you want to have the little circles and put them right on your card. I'm going to try to lift these up. I don't know if they will or not. But it's okay if they don't. So then what will happen is these will dry, and they will dry so that they're raised up a little bit. So with the modeling paste that I made, it seemed to dry quicker than I recall other modeling paste that I've used, and it could be because it's not as thick. So then you have a way to make a stencil if you want to with your hole punch. I'm trying to think what else you could use. You could hole punch with a smaller one and then some around it and make kind of like a flower. So you have a lot of options with hole punches in making yourself your own stencil. Now I have of course stencils in my stash, and I have used some of them already and they turn out nice. The stencils that I have, though, are mainly for larger projects. So I think I need to find my smaller ones, and I wasn't able to locate them. So here we have our card, and it has some gesso on it, and it has some decorative pieces, and we're just going to set this aside because this one I want to prepare for a different process. Now I'm going to keep my card because I may use it again, and the other process that I'm going to do, and you've seen me do this probably 100 times, is I'm going to take some of the black permanent ink, and I'm just going to make some little pieces here with some lettering. So that's going to stand out quite bright right on top of that white gesso. So if you like that background, you can leave it alone. I'm actually going to take, this is Dilution's ink spray. It comes from Ranger, and this color is Blue Lagoon, and I'm just going to spray just tiny bits of it. Okay, and the reason being is I don't want this blue to necessarily overpower my background. And I'm shaking it a little bit to get it to run, so it will run down some and make some interesting effects that way. And then, what did I do with? And then I'm just going to take my wet cloth or wet wipe, whatever you have, and just kind of tamp it so that it comes out a little bit lighter. I'm also going to do that on the same one with some purple. And I think the purple and the Calypso blue will look nice together. So let me just see if I can get this one to spread a little bit. And you just kind of mix it, tamp it, mix however you want to do it. Now, I love the spray inks because they're so easy. You just spray and go, and they dry pretty quick. But I have found that playing with watercolors, this is a one of the tags I made with watercolor. I thought I had another one handy. Let me see. No, that's something else. Okay, so this one, I don't know if you can see right in here. This is actually watercolor. And the watercolor makes really nice backgrounds for your cards. Now on this one I used what's called solar paste, and I'll show you what that looks like on the card we have here. Now with the solar paste, I've found that the easiest way to use it is to just use the pad of your finger. And I'm just going to get a little bit on my finger, and I'm going to go around the edges. So if you can count so far, we've used a couple different mediums. We've used gesso. We've used spray ink. We've also used the stamping, and now we're using some of the solar paste. Now this solar paste is something new for me. I've never really used it before, but I do love the effect that it gives because it really helps. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just pulling it out to the side so that it's not so thick on the inside. Especially here, I got it kind of thick. And I don't want it to be looking even, so I'm trying to put it on here so that it'll be kind of like framing the middle. Oops, that's interesting. Came off on top of the gesso. So we'll put a little bit more on. Now with this solar paste, you can use these with stencils as well. I have done that, and I will show you again the little tag I have already made. A cool thing about this too is you can leave it thick and it'll dry like in little mountains or whatever you want to call them. What did I do with my little card? Okay, so this here that you see, this flower arrangement here, this is actually the solar paste. And then as you see, I went around the edges and kind of put some of that gold on. And you can get this in all kinds of colors from Ranger. It's actually from an artist named Tim Hurley. And I had never really used his things before, but I really like them. So let's have this, let's let that one dry. And let me just make sure this is not all yucky. And you can see here our texture paste dried, and we have those little circles on there. So we can do a variety of things with this. We can stamp on it. We can collage on it. I think what I'm going to do for this one is show you another thing that I do sometimes. And this credit card is really yucky because I was using it, but we should still be able to get the effect. So I'm going to take some of this black permanent ink, and I'm just going to get it on the edge of my credit card. And then I'm going to go on the credit card with some lines like this. And you can see some of it is still going through the texture paste because it wasn't completely dry. And that's okay because that gives us another interesting effect. So let me go ahead and finish these. Put some higher up here. Okay. So if you need a way to make any kinds of lines or just some interesting crisscrosses, an edge of a credit card. Sometimes you get those dummy credit cards in the mail. You can use those. You can try using an index card, but it's not going to be as heavy. So if you have an expired card, that's what I would use. So here we have all these little lines. So what are we going to do with them? Well, I do have I have a floral stencil, but it's pretty I was already trying this, so it's pretty gunked up. Unless I can find my other stencil packet. Give me a moment. I'm smelling the wood stove going out. I must have laid them somewhere else. Okay, that's fine. We don't need that. We'll just go in with our pencil. And actually, I'm trying to think here. What? I'm actually going to take, you've seen me use this before, this process of making larger circles. I'm going to make some of them, and then I'll find something to make some smaller ones, because I kind of want this to be a flower garden. Let's use a glue stick and see if that works for smaller ones. And just put them at the top of your stems if you want to, or put them wherever you feel they need to go. And let me see if I can find something else that's hollow that will, let me see the back of this. See, that's what's interesting. You can look for things that you think may work. Like this is a cap, and it's going to make a different design. So I'm not going to put too many of those on, but I do like that effect. So for future, I'll be able to use it. Okay, so we have all these flowers on here, and remember that we used an ink that was permanent. So anything that we put on this card won't allow any of this to run because it's already permanent ink. And it's easier to stamp on this because we have made the card surface easier to work with because of the gesso and the paint. So this one actually had paint on it. So I'm going to get my watercolors, and I'm sorry you won't. Here's my watercolor palette I have in case you want to get one. I think I got it from Amazon, of course. It's been within the last year that I got it. But I'm going to see if I can color any of these with watercolor. So you won't actually be able to see my watercolor palette because it won't fit in the frame. But I'm just going to try a couple colors here and see what happens. So that's what mixed media is all about, is, you know, trying things, determining what works, what designs you may get. Let me try a little bit of this is one of my favorite watercolor colors, this blue. It's almost like a teal blue. And I'm going to try a regular blue too. We'll just try that over these right here. Make sure everybody has a color on them. Try some more purple. So I really like purple. I don't know about you guys, but I really like purple. Okay, so here we added another layer of medium, which is our watercolor. Now that I can concentrate on this a little bit, I will fill these circles in. And then when they dry, then we'll have this flower garden of different colored. I don't have a heat gun, so things are not going to dry as fast as they normally would. Okay, that's drying except for the thick parts. Okay, we'll leave this one to dry as well. Let me get a drink of water. I never drink enough as it is. So what do we want to do with this one? Well, okay, so for this one, I'm going to save this one since we have these two in the works. And I'm going to show you another version of a, it's like an artist trading card, but artist trading cards came out around 1997. So that was way back when Kim had a group online, and we used to swap ATC cards, and we had little groups where people would be winners and different things. So fun things we used to do back then with ATCs. But after a while, and I think this was 2018, but I'm not 100% sure on the date, someone came out with an idea of what they call artist trading coins. So an artist trading coin, again, has to be 2.5 inches. And I was reading some information online that said not all of the coin swapper people, they didn't mind if their coins weren't exactly 2.5 inches. But these are the ones that I cut, and they do have texture paste on them. Some of them don't. Now, these purple and blue ones, these green ones that came out in such cool colors and designs, and the yellow and the orange, those were all done on water, as a watercolor paints. The other ones were done with acrylic paint and spray paint, or the spray inks. So I got some different effects. For example, this is a piece of lace that I went over with the texture paste. Most all of them have stamping on them. So this one's a very cool one because you can see how the texture paste even crackled a little bit. So I have a floral stencil, and I did some of the stenciling on the background with that floral stencil, and then when I cut it into the circles, I got pieces of it onto the coins. So these are all pretty much prepared backgrounds for the coins. I will take a couple out, and we can see these just came out so cool. I'm in love with these. They are so cool. Now, I don't have a 2.5 punch, so all mine are kind of rough around the edges, but they're a great thing to swap, and I invite you, if you are interested in swapping with me any of the ATC coins or the playing cards that we do, to let me know, because then we can exchange addresses and swap cards back and forth and enjoy each other's talent. If you don't want to swap, but you want to play along with me and just post the design that you made or your mixed media card, and send it along, or post it onto Lilac Lane Livery Arts on Facebook. Anyone that posts their card or their coin, I will do a special digital sheet for you, or if you don't have a printer, I will send you something in the mail. So keep that in mind. Normally today I would be doing my happy mail, but I haven't gotten any recently. And I wanted to let everyone know if you're following my video today, my happy mail will probably be delayed a little bit because we're getting a lot of snow and we live on a mountain, truly a mountain, and it's very difficult to plow and get out. So if you don't get your envelope for a week or two, please don't fault me because of the weather situation. So, all right, this looks like it's pretty much dry. And I have to tell you, I'm super pleased with how that came out because I was not sure that the watercolor was going to take, and it did. So I think what this needs is I'm going to take a little piece of lace. Where are my scissors? I have lots of scissors, but certain scissors for certain projects. So I'm going to take this little piece of lace, and I love the design on it. So I'm going to try to put some more texture paste on it and see what happens. So if you're using something like this, I didn't want to get that over there, but that's okay. If you're using something like this, you just kind of have to wait until it's saturated and then take your time in trying to get the imprint. Let's see if we got one. We may have gotten a little one, not too much. Okay, we'll just save that. Okay. All right, what I'm going to look for real quick, since our background's pretty dry, I'll look for some type of image we could put on here. This is kind of cute because you put him on and it almost looks like he has all those balloons floating by. Let me see if I have. So I don't know if you all have decided what you're going to I'm just going to add a little bit of doodling here. This is funny, but I will have ink everywhere by the time, I mean paint and everything on me when I'm done this, because that's just what happens to me. I make a mess. This is, I'm going to show you how this works with a stencil. So right here is a little piece of grass that I want to do. So I'm just going to smooth it over like that. And over here, oops. And over here's another little piece of grass. Oops. The man plowing the driveway is making me have a mess up here. Okay, so this is like a little branch, tree branch fiddle. I'm having a terrible time with this tonight, guys. Sorry. There, we finally got a tree branch. Where's my wipe here? Yeah, there's my one tree branch. And because this is I like that much better. Where's my credit card? So sometimes, no matter how small or big the piece, it may take you longer to do it than you thought originally. But the point is that we're getting there. And I like how this looks with the blue on it. Gives it a little bit more color. And we'll just put some more stray stems in here. Okay, very nice. Okay, and here we have this one, and it's pretty much dry now. So with this one, we can either leave it as it is, or we could add again an image or something to it. So I'm not going to, I was going to try to add a couple flowers down here with the texture paste if I can get it to cooperate. I want this flower here. So let me try this again. It may be, and I'm just speculating, so if anybody has made homemade texture paste before, let me know if what the problem is that it's too thin, because that could possibly be that it's just a little bit too thin, and I may have to put some more of the cornstarch in it. So that came out good, and that'll just stay white on there unless I decide to spray it with a color. And the only color that I would spray it with, let me see if I have it handy, is a pink. I have a lime green somewhere, but I don't have it with me right now. So if I spray that with some pink and it comes out looking a little pink, I think that'll be pretty too. So again, the idea of making something like this is not so that you can necessarily, I mean, you can use these just as they are. You don't have to put images on them. If you do put images on them, you know, that's perfectly fine. Not something that's required. Now this is a little heart stencil I have. So let me see if I can get some hearts on here without too much trouble. I want to just stick. Okay, that's all right. We will work with what we have. I'm going to spritz it again with the pink. Did I put it back? Yeah. Spritz it again with the pink. And then you all also are familiar with how you can take a brush and you can fling like white paint on something. That is a very effective method too. So here are these two, and actually I haven't decided if I'm going to leave them just like that, like mixed media pieces, or if I'm going to add an image. Now, all these that you see that I cut out, some of them came from papers that weren't very pretty. So let me show you the papers that I made and that I'll be cutting circles out of. You can see this one is not really beautiful. The colors are fine, but once you cut the circles and they're in smaller shapes, they'll be much better. This one's okay. And it kind of looks like a galaxy. This one, very nice, has some stenciling on it, so when I cut the circles, the stenciling will show. And then this one is kind of not beautiful either, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the texture paste and put it in another container and change the color of it to maybe, I don't know, a red or a purple or orange, and that way I can use that texture paste on this and give it a little bit more depth. So the orange or the way you would do that is just take some of the texture paste and then add either a drop or two of the ink to it, or you can add some more acrylic paint. But this works just fine if this is the option that you have. So if you want to see the original recipe, as I mentioned, I got it from Graphics Fairy. I'm not sure where you all would find, I mean, you can just, I got it from Pinterest. So there are some other recipes where you can use baby powder, or you can use baby powder or baking soda. But one of the things that I did here with the baking soda, it's not as smooth. So I don't mind this texture paste because, like I said, it gives some crackle feel to it in some of the places where we put large stencils. There was a floral one that was kind of crackly right here, and I love that look. So if you are planning on doing any kind of mixed media, you will realize that when you're done, your hands are usually full of paint. A lot of people even apply their gesso with their fingers. They apply, you know, like we did with the solar paste with our fingers, and you just get it all over you. So just keep that in mind. And I really like these. I wanted to see real quick if I can find it, because I know it was right here. I have got to get my office organized. However, we're playing a cool game tomorrow. You can check my Facebook page, and you can check Kim's Facebook page. So if you have any spare time, we are actually doing a project called Within Arm's Length. So anything you have on your desk that is within arm's length of what we, you know, we're just kind of mass making things. So tomorrow I will be working on pocket hugs and some more tag ideas that I have. And I know I had my words right here. Those are the one thing that I always lose are my words. Not for lack of speaking, but for okay, I'm not sure where they are at this moment, but I was going to pick out some wording for each of our cards we made today. However, I think what we did is, you know, was really fun, and it gave you some options, gives you some ideas of what kind of backgrounds you might want to make, or what kind of cards you want to make for your your artist trading cards. Artist trading cards originally were actual pieces of art. So we're going to call this our mixed media art. And I hope you had fun getting messy with me. And I'm sure I will be back tomorrow. So have a good night, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.